This CES 2020 coverage is brought to you by Corsair and Elgato Gaming. So today was my final day at CES, but not the final video that you will see. I have another fun video with Craft Computing coming at some point when I get home and can finish editing it, unless I somehow have energy to edit tonight. Finally got us to the show floor today. There wasn't a ton of exciting stuff. We only spent a few hours on the show floor, from like 1 until, it was until 6 or 5:35-ish. So about 4 hours, I'd say, if I'm being generous. We spent 4 hours on the show floor. It was definitely overwhelming, but because we went on, like the second to last day and, not at the start of the morning, there wasn't it was crowded. It was big, there were lots of people, but, we weren't bumping up against each other the whole way through or anything like that. We had plenty of space at times, and, some of the booths were really packed, but we had plenty of walkway. It wasn't just, pure hell. It's actually a pretty enjoyable experience. I did see a cool case from InWin.
My favorite thing so far on the CES show floor is the most mundane case you could probably imagine. It's not that. It is a case that has optical bays and hard drive bays in 2020. And they even have, not available yet, but a optical drive replacement for SSDs and hard drives. I've been asking case manufacturers for optical bays to come back for a long time. Thanks, InWin.
They also, of course, had what they were calling the DIA, or butterfly case mod. Apparently every year they do this like really bougie, only for rich people display piece cases, and this one has folding leaf scales, lights and voice commands, and a projector onto the bottom piece. It was pretty crazy, but the practical case was pretty cool. And then I got a little bit of B-roll. They had what they called the Alice, which is a test bench, but it's like a crate. And at first I was like, really? You put a computer in a milk crate and you want to sell that as a case? Like, I was super snarky in my head about it. But then I went back to it and I was like, because I read, for the test bench and stuff. And my test bench is pretty annoying because, it's built to be on a desk. It's great. I already talked about it. It's pretty great. But it's built to be on a desk, and sometimes I really need to just get out of the way. And the form factor of a crate is actually kind of handy for a test bench. So, meh. And then they also had 360 and 240 millimeter AIOs with their own design, which has a really tall pump reservoir spot on it with a dual pump design that can get more water flow going to keep things cooling quicker, but also it's redundant, so if one of them dies, you still have a pump running as well. They say that they don't enter new product markets unless they can really innovate, and that's what they see as their innovation, so that was pretty cool. We saw a few things. I ended up picking up an entire freaking camera, gimbal, a camera stabilizer and gimbal for my A7S II or my A6400, whichever one stays not a webcam. That was pretty nuts, and then I had to carry that around the show floor in this giant box the whole time, and actually, as soon as I finish recording this, I need to run off to a 24/7 FedEx to ship myself so much stuff back, because traveling with everything I already had in the airport was kind of hell, so then adding more on top of that is going to be impossible. So I'm going to have to just ship some stuff back to me, which is going to be interesting. Probably expensive. We walked around, we saw some cool stuff like the LG, OLED wave displays, lots of robotic stuff. We got to get in the booth to see someone playing ping pong with the AI robot ping pong, which of course isn't a product. It's just to show the robotics technology, the AI analysis technology. It can train to then match the skill level of the player. It can read, how frustrated or happy they are. Lots of different technologies on display there from Omron. And then, there were lots of phone controllers, and VR and AR experiences were a big deal there. Samsung had a whole lot of stuff on display. And then we walked by the Canon booth.
So I've spent our entirety of the time here on the show floor looking for the one thing that I needed to cover. Little did I know it was here in the Canon booth. Our prayers have long been answered. Canon is coming out with a APS-C sized camera with clean HDMI out, prepared for streamers. It can do up to 4K 30, presumably 1080p 60, ready to go for streamers, and they have a full display setup here, so you can obviously see the benefits of it versus a webcam. I've been talking about that for years and years. It happened. It finally happened. So we'll check it out. I'll have more information, probably a review coming soon. Stay tuned for that. I'm hyped.
So for clarification, because my tweet was pretty ambiguous, and honestly I did not realize this at the time, the Canon EOS M200 apparently launched in September or October, but kind of under the radar. Like, it didn't get a whole lot of attention, or at least that I saw, a whole lot of attention or coverage or anything like that. But apparently, it released in September or October. It is now available for roughly $500 US, which is pretty expensive for a streamer cam market, but not as cheap as even the Sub 2R, which is what I was afraid of when I covered the Sub 2R in my review. Cheaper than that, and it has clean HDMI out, which is kind of almost a first for these lower end Canon cameras. This is what we've been asking for forever. Apparently Canon is finally interested in getting into the streaming space, and so I made sure I talked to them and said, hey, we need to talk. But it's the Canon EOS M200. It's an APS-C style camera. It has dual pixel autofocus, even running through the HDMI output. 4K 30, 1080p 60. It looked great. They had a nice little streaming setup going. So I'm hoping I can get one in the studio, because there's been a few reviews, but none of them focused on streaming. And clearly, I think they noticed that no one was using it for that, and they want to try that marketing angle. So I'm hoping we work something out and we can get some stuff going, because people have been wanting Canon for streaming for a while, especially if you don't want to switch glass or adapt glass, or you want the good autofocus or whatever reason, and it's an APS-C size sensor, which is really good for that use case. And then that was pretty much it that we saw. We saw the 1DX Mark III. Well, we held it. It was really heavy. That was pretty much all to it. We saw a few little booths. Nothing really stuck out to me. It was crazy. I didn't expect to cover a whole lot from it. And then we ran into Gerald Undone again. Got some pictures with him. We had actually met him at an event a couple days before. And Josh from Make Art Now and both of their wives. They were lovely people to talk to. Great experience. Glad we got to hang out and things like that. I totally forgot to mention that I actually did get to take a look at the Samson Q9U. I stopped by their booth, gave them a little chat, took a look at it. It looks great. Looks like the kind of, pod mic, Procaster, RE320 kind of form factor. 24-bit 96 kilohertz DAC, $200, dynamic broadcast, XLR, and USB-C hybrid microphone. So for the value you're getting, super freaking awesome. Of course, I could not test it on the show floor, so hopefully I'll be getting a review unit soon, but it is at the show. I just, there was not much for me to talk about that wasn't available by the press release. And that was about it for the show. This has been CES 2020. It has been exhausting, way more work than I actually expected. I expected it to be a lot of work, but I also anticipated having more downtime than I did. I had pretty much no downtime. Wake up early in the morning, go to meetings and events and work, come home, edit, shower, pass out, repeat. So that's been pretty crazy. I haven't even really gotten to use my big bathtub. I'm hoping to do so tonight. However, it is currently 7 p.m. I fly out in 11 hours. My flight is at 6 a.m., so that means I have to get up at like 4 a.m. at the latest to really get everything together, get checked out, and then make it to the airport, check through security, fly away. So I'll probably just sleep on the plane if I can. I'm hoping I can. I'm flying Delta this time, so hopefully bigger seats than my crappy United flight. So I don't know that I'll even get this video edited tonight. It's been a crazy experience. Super shout out to Corsair and Elgato for sending me out. Go check out my coverage of their press conference with the new Elgato capture card and things like that. It has been great. I'm really glad I came. It was a great first CES. If I were to do things differently, I would probably have done day one show floor just to be there, experience the big burst and to see some of the bigger YouTubers. I didn't run into MKBHD or anything like that. And then, not spend a ton of time there, but kind of get the initial wave, then come back again on Thursday like we did. And then I think I could handle a little bit more meetings as long as we could keep them in the same buildings, because I don't know. I would also, if I could afford it or, had someone I trusted, I would take a camera person. That way we could do more in the booth shooting, because that was what my previous video was. We actually did some A-roll in the suites, and I think it really kind of, this is a cool, setup and all that, but I really think it kind of takes the production a little bit further when you have the in the suite and booth presences. But it was pretty great. I'm glad I got to come. I don't know that I will come again, especially since, I'm having my kid this year. It will be weird traveling moving forward for a little bit. But I do anticipate at some point coming back to CES, just maybe not immediately 2021. Lots of cool products. Got to meet a lot of awesome people, both other creators and YouTuber and company contacts and things like that. Awesome experience. Vegas is crazy. It's big. I didn't get to explore any of it really. Got to have some crazy high views from the party and things like that. But maybe I would book a couple extra days if it were me and my wife coming or something, so that we could do some of the more vacation-y stuff. But for a work event, pretty solid, but I'm ready to get home. Thank you so much for watching and your support on the channel. Like I said, I have another fun video for this trip coming. Be sure to stay tuned. Can't guarantee when exactly I'll edit it exactly, but thank you so much for watching. See you next time.